What's going on, everybody? This is a truly fun one. So, I have to admit something. This is the fourth Thieaudio Monarch that I've owned. Now, I've bought three more, and then this is the fourth one that I bought. And in my defense, when growing this channel and getting IEMs, I've used it to buy other things. First, second, third one. To be able to do reviews on stuff. And over the time, I have sat there and made comments, which my wife has heard, that, man, I sure do miss the Monarch. And throughout the time, going to different can jams, I always seem to go to the Bloom Room just so I could listen to the Monarch. So I was very excited to hear that there was a brand new Monarch car in the Monarch coming, the MK4, and my wife basically sat there and said, if you sell this one, I'm not going to listen to you again because you always complain about not owning the Monarch. So I've promised I'm not going to sell this Monarch. This Monarch is going to stay with me. And luckily so, I'm glad it is because I'm actually very surprised by it. So in case you haven't figured it out, today's review is going to be on the Thieaudio Monarch MK4. The Thieaudio Monarch MK4. It retails for $1,149. I got the Kaleidoglow version. It is a tri-brid. So it's got 2 dynamic drivers, 6 balance armature drivers, and 2 electrostatic drivers. So 10 drivers in all. So let's get to the unboxing here. So we got this box, got all your information here, got more information on the back. Slide this sheath off. Got this upside down, of course, like always. Got this box, this cardboard box. Lift it up, and there are the kaleidoscope faceplates, but they're the Monarchs. Have this piece of paper here, so you can grab the cable, and then pretty easily pull these out. So let's get an up-close view. Here is the cable. I'm not sure how well it matches with the rest, but we'll get into that later. So this is the cable that you get, the Monarch. And let's check them out. I do like the kaleidoscope. I think it's very cool looking. I thought about going ahead and getting the custom, but what I was worried about was the wait times. And from what I've heard, the customs take a little bit longer. So I'm glad I just went ahead with one of the 2 new styles. All right, on this side, pull this out. You get a puck. It's got cloth on it. Not a bad feeling puck. Open it up, and you've got all your assortment of tips in these little bags, as well as 3.5 adapter here. Got a cleaning cloth. There's a little tip for the adapter. But pound for pound, not a bad little unboxing here. So I guess we'll go to fit and finish. All right, so you know how we do it. We're gonna go to the fit and finish part. So here is the Monarch. Here's the cable. It's not a bad cable. If I had any gripe about the cable, it's a little bit rubbery feeling. But all in all, not too bad of a cable. These are larger shells, I should say, and I'm going to point something out real quick so you can see it. This is the switch, so you can add the bass or you can have kind of like a neutral setting. And it's got a very nice click to it, very sturdy. So yes, there is the infamous switch. All right, so I would say these are on the large size for an IEM, but the Monarchs tend to be, and I haven't had any issues with wearing them for a long time because now with the new metal shells, they're very comfortable, contoured, and they're not very heavy whatsoever. So pound for pound, when it just comes to fit and finish, pretty darn good. All right, so the most important thing we like to talk about around here is the sound. So let's be real. a lot has changed since when 2023, when the MK3 came out. There have been a lot of bangers that have come out, especially in that $800 price range. So we've got the Legion, which is extraordinary for pushing the envelope up, being a bang for the buck IEM for $800 that can compete with totals, right? So we've got Legions, we've got Archangels, we've got a whole slew of IEMs that have come out in and around that price range. I've talked and done a review on the DTE 264. Another great IEM around the $1,000 price range. So you get what I'm saying. If there was going to be a new Monarch, it was going to have to be able to compete extraordinarily well versus all these new contenders in and around that price range. So what does the MK4 bring to the table that the MK3 didn't? Well, I harken back to the MK2. So the MK2, a lot of people loved because of the mids. They had extraordinary voices, just great sounding instruments, great separation, very loving mids, right? And then the MK3 came out and it was bassier and they felt like the magic of the mids disappeared. So essentially what they've done with the MK4 is something just awesome. You get kind of like both of them combined into this one beautifully tuned IEM that also has a hat trick where the thing about the Monarch, the MK3 that I truly like too, was that, like, let's say you listen to gangster rap and classical. I'll just use two extremes in a sense, right? I think you've known what I like in an IEM on the channel. I like it if I'm listening to gangster rap, which I really don't, but that big booming bass, I want to be able to feel and hear that bass. But if I want to go ahead and switch to Mozart or whatever, classical music, I don't want the boom. I want cellos and the basses and all the low instruments to sound natural and not overly boosted, right? And I always thought that's what I loved about the Monarch, which is really, really great. So we have that in the MK4, which is super important for me. So if I want to switch those two genres, it plays them both extremely well, but then on top of that, you've got this little switch. And this little switch will make it even more enhanced in the sub bass and the mid bass, but also in the lower mids where you have a little bit more bite, which is really, really awesome. So you've got that. Then you've got the mids that just sound so freaking good. Female voices are just chef's kiss with this IEM. They are very, very, very good. I just love listening to anything with female voices, ballads, things like that. It's just an extraordinary IEM. Then when you take it to something like, the Bill Lawrence and the Michael Lees, Snarky Puppy, jazz, things like that, acoustic. I've been on this tear with Sting's not his personal, but his favorite guitar player, Dominic Miller, throwing in some of his solo stuff. It sounds just awesome. The Sting 3.0 album, those mids are there. And then, of course, I do my tests with Staccato and Polyphia, Manu Katsu when it comes to treble. The treble is sparkly, there's air there, and it's got great extension. So you've got this monster, I almost said little IEM because they're kind of big, IEM that can play all genres, and it feels like it's a chameleon in a sense, something that I like, where if you don't want too much bass, it's not there, it's natural, it's where it should be. But if you want too much bass, when it gets up to it, it's not enough, then you can flip the switch and then you can have the monster bass. So that's what I truly like about the Monarch, because in a sense it's a chameleon, because you can throw all kinds of music at it and it sounds really, really, really good. So I think the smartest thing they did was take the two best Monarchs, blend them together, and then add something special like the bass switch. Because all in all, you get this IEM that, honestly, it shoots above as well. So it's a good bang for the buck, because there are very few, like Legion, and I think P5+2, the Awful, do this very well, but give you that total sound, like top of the line, up there, why people spend ridiculous amounts of money, including myself, on total IEMs is because there's almost a uniqueness in sound that comes with them. And at the $1,000 price mark, I feel like the Monarch, much like the Legion at $800, competes up there with some of the $2,000 to $3,000 IEMs, just because of the way they're tuned. Now, if it's something like the APX, like let's say you were comparing the two, would you be able to tell a difference in them? Yes, because there's going to be a lot more resolution, micro dynamics. Technically, it's just going to be a different experience. But if, let's say you did not like the APX tuning and you love the Monarch tuning, are you losing anything really? No, because at the end of the day, hopefully for most people, it's not chasing the gear, it's all about the tuning and listening to your music and something that jives with you. And I think they've tuned this in a magical way where I think it'll jive with a lot of people. And this is one of these sets that you can literally ride off into the sunset with, because like literally it's just that good. So I think they did a really good job. And I like companies that listen because I feel like they brought the best of both worlds of the two Monarchs together into one cohesive Monarch that sounds so good. And then on top of that, you can change the sound. So great job on the Monarchs. I think you guys have known that I've always liked the Monarch line. It's one of my favorite IEMs. It was my first $1,000 IEM. And I think they've just done a bang-up job on this. So very, very, very good sound. So is the Monarch MK4 a buy? $1,149, expensive IEM, but it really is a truly phenomenal IEM in a sense where no matter what you throw at it, it plays it very, very, very well. Then you've got the added boost if you want to add some bass. If you don't want to add some bass, it's a chameleon in a sense where if you want to throw some classical at it, it's going to do it very, very well. But if you want to do something that slams, it does it very well. So, you know, it's just a great IEM for someone who might be wanting to ride off into the sunset and wants to get a really darn good set. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask, and I will see you in the next video.